Oh, we filmed. Oh. So there's more disaster with this transporter. So it's been one thing after another. I don't know how much we filmed, but we've had it here for weeks here, right? So we've got it running, everything's going good. We found the turbo was absolutely rooted. We put a new turbo on it. We've still had not much luck. The thing runs well, but won't accelerate still. We know it's not building boost pressure, but the fuel, we'll suspect because the fuel is possibly not getting enough flow through it, so not building up enough pressure. So we've tested all the vacuum sensors, the N75 sensor, that's working with vacuum. We've got the right amount of vacuum there. I mean, I'm not going to film this because we have exhausted ourselves on this car. It's, you know, the amount of hours diagnosing this thing without replacing stuff has been absolutely enormous to get to a point. So I used another bloke's head on it because I was at my wit's end, and he sort of assured me the way that I was going, and it was good to confirm with him that we'd look at the fuel side again, either the fuel blockage in the head, the new head, like the return not flowing, or the pressure to the pump not flowing through the filter. And anyway, we tested the fuel pressure from the pre-pump that's in the tank this morning, and it only sort of it came out, flowed okay, but there's not a lot of pressure. So it's only meant to have 10 psi pressure, 7 psi pressure in the line for the pre-pump, yeah, to the filter. But the flow's the big thing. So we tried sucking. I tried sucking the fuel line to see if it had actually sucked, because when this, don't forget, this thing was full of fuel, right? The whole thing was full of petrol, not diesel. So we tried to suck the fuel out of it, and we couldn't suck the fuel out. We had to keep running the pump. The pump wasn't really working too well, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, I've decided, fuck it, I'll pull the bloody tank out of the car. So we bench tested we set the tank up, you know, we bench tested the pump. The pump had 10 psi, but the flow wasn't real great. It was holding pressure, so the one-way valve was working, that sort of stuff. So it's all together in a capsule. I've pulled it apart. Fuck me. It's the petrol in it has just devoured whatever. This is the pump, right? So it's on the other side as well. Have a look at the other side. It's completely chocked. So what I'll do, hang on, look at this. Oh, you can't even scrape that off. That screen, look at that. It's just like a cap over the top of the fuel fucking pump. That is, I'd like to swear a little bit more at this stage. I'm pretty filthy. It has been one thing after another thing on this, and anyone who does diagnosis on a car or big heavy work like what this is on vehicles, that you'll understand the time and frustrations of going through absolutely everything without replacing absolutely everything, just diagnosing, spending the time and the man hours finding what the problem is. Mate, we haven't fixed it as yet, but this is just another problem. You know,